Hello, welcome to the new baby that the IEB has presented to us. Wow, I think the first time you read this thing you must have been like, what the hell am I reading? What is this thing? I'm going to help you unpack this. Okay, it's not that scary. There aren't a lot of notes available on this. I had to search and ask around. I didn't find much. Most of this is my personal interpretations, my personal views and analysis. But please work with your teacher. They might agree or disagree on some points, and that's absolutely fine. Okay, but my focus is gonna be like, what can they actually ask you here? They've only got 10 marks, so what can they ask you here? So don't be too put off by the weirdness and bizarre images and metaphors there and onomatopoeia that we see here. Okay, I'm gonna try and simplify it right down for you, and you can help me then just by sharing this video, helping your friends, posting it on your WhatsApp status or sending it to WhatsApp groups or on your Instagram, and also my Takealot sales link that takes you to the books, my books that you can buy. That'll really help me and just help me make money and feed myself and my family, my 2 kids. Okay. I would be really grateful for that, and then I'm sure the Afrikaans gods will bless you and you are going to nail this here, whether you are now in grade 11 or grade 12. Cool, let's go into the poem. I can't wait. Try and enjoy it. Okay, I know it's weird, but let's try and enjoy it. Okay. Die tweegeveg, the duel. I've got the English translation here for you. Okay, let me just draw with the red pen here, so I'm a sort of a teacher. Okay. Die vaandels roer soos ou donkies in die wind. The flags move like old donkeys in the wind. What? Okay. We'll unpack that later. En die son trek sy wolke stywer om sy skouers. The sun pulls his clouds tighter over his shoulders. Okay, that's a mental picture typical of Breitenbach. He likes using very bizarre images and combining them in poetry just to shock the reader and to really force your imagination to conjure up all kinds of things. Much like, I think Breitenbach's poetry is best described as AI before AI was invented. Like his brain was like AI. Okay, you could like flip and put weird things together and come up with magical things. Okay, so the sun pulls his clouds tighter around his shoulders, van his coat, because it's cold. Die man met swart oë kom sigtend oor die gras. A man, or the man with black eyes comes sighing, comes walking over the grass. These are two fences, okay? They're going to fight with swords. This is real. This is not the Olympic Games. Okay, this is back in the day when you killed each other with swords. Okay, so this is a fight to the death. This is serious. Okay, en hef or lig. Sorry, I put in the lig just as a word. Oh, and I put in gras there. That's not part of the original poem. Sorry, forgot to mention. It's just quick. It's just, I don't know, it's another word. And hef is just an older word for lig. En lig sy swaard op. 'n Versteende paling in die lig. Versteende means petrified. It's become stone. It's become a fossil. So he lifts up his sword, and it looks like a petrified eel in the light. What? Okay, so we'll look. We'll try and see what that means. All right. I don't think anybody in his right mind would compare a sword to an eel. A eel turned into stone, fossilized eel. Okay. En ek trek my swaard blink soos 'n proefbuis of 'n draagtong. And now the narrator, the person here, don't say the poet, it's not the poet, it's the narrator, die spreker, draws his sword like a what? Like a test tube or like a dragon's tongue. So the other man's sword is like an eel, fossilized eel, and the narrator's sword is like a test tube or a dragon's tongue. Okay. On guard, they say on guard. That means get ready. That's the indication that they're going to fight. It's a French term. We'll look at that. And then you get this. Look at this stuff here. Okay, this is all onomatopoeia. This is all klanknabootsing. These are words made to imitate the sounds of the actual sword fighting. Okay, kling, ja, I'm not going to read all this nonsense. Just pick out we'll pick out a few in the notes because some of them seem to carry some meaning. One of them is hoender. Chicken. I don't know what that. I don't have that in my notes. If your teacher knows what hoender means, there's another recognizable word. Kak. Okay. Shit. Okay. So we'll look at that as well. That's typical Breitenbach. He likes using swear words a lot. Okay. And then touche. Touche means it's a recognition that you've been stabbed or something. Okay. We'll look at it later. Long groan, yeah. And then in brackets, ek voel sy swaard soos 'n graat in my gorrel. I feel his sword like a fish bone stabbed into my throat. Dying. Okay. So the narrator lost. I think if a sword's in your throat back then, you pretty much, that's you done. Okay, you're dead. There's no modern medicine that's going to save you there. Alright, so I'm going to move my face here. Okay, so now let's look at these notes that I've put together with love and care. Trust me, it wasn't easy. Not what I had in mind for Friday night. What's it today? No, it's not Friday yet. What am I talking about? All these public holidays are confusing me. Alright, title. So let's look at the title. So let's unpack that title. It's interesting. There's a lot there. Okay, so I would ask something about the title. It's die tweegeveg. It's not a tweegeveg or just the word tweegeveg. Die means that it's very specific and very personal to the narrator. This is not about you and me. Okay, this is not about anybody else. This is about the narrator himself. So I said here, die swaardgeveg tussen twee mans. Okay, it's a fight between two men. Gevegkunst is the art of fighting with those swords, fencing swords. I think they looked different back then. They could actually kill you. Nowadays they're like blunted, eh? Die, so that word die is 'n spesifieke geveg van die spreker. Nie noodwendig universeel nie. This is not necessarily trying to say something about a duel between the heart and the mind, or an inner struggle or an inner conflict. This is quite personal. It's about him and another human being. This is about two men fighting, quite ostensibly. So I know some of the other books and things say that there's two levels to this poem, but what evidence do we really have here to say that there's another level that indicates a personal struggle, or they say it's a struggle between the poet and the words, the poet and the poetry, and his battle with the words and finding the right words and crafting. But what evidence do we have of that? What is there in the poem that tells us that? I can't see anything. If you disagree, That's 100%. I think the best evidence that you can have for saying that is that it's die twee geveg. It's a duel that this person has within himself, but you would be reaching a bit. Okay, I think this is just a fun poem about two men fighting. I don't think we need to necessarily say there's another level to this, that it's now an inner, it symbolizes an inner struggle, or the struggle between the poet and the words, or the person and his creativity. I mean, once you start going down that rabbit hole, you can say anything, okay? But it has to be some kind of indication in the poem that this is the case, and I don't think we necessarily do, okay? And therefore, I don't think that the IEP is going to ask you anything about that second level to this poem. Trust me, there's enough other things going on here that they can ask. Okay. But just check with your teacher if they agree. Okay. Vaandels roer soos ou donkies. Okay, so this is an interesting one. So the flags are moving like old donkeys. This is a vergelijking. I say it's min wind, there's a sagte breeze, there's not a lot of wind, there's a soft breeze. Die flow breeze is in contrast met die vinnige beweging van die swaarde. So there's a nice contrast there that I could ask you. So the slowness of the breeze is then a contrast between the sharp, fast movements of the swords. Okay, but then, you know, this donkey thing got me thinking, why a donkey? Why would the flags be moving slow like a donkey? And the fact that the donkey is involved and also a sword, and I don't often do this, right? Okay, but it's kind of, the coincidence is just a little bit too much. I think we might have a biblical reference here. And this is what I say here with donkeys. See, donkeys, the donkey is obviously the hardkoppige dier. It's a stubborn animal. And this could indicate that this fighter is reluctant. He doesn't want to really fight. And evidently the other man also doesn't want to fight, because he sighs, sigtend. He sighs when he comes to the fight. So these are two reluctant fighters. Look, they don't want to fight. Okay, so the donkey is hardkoppig, hy wil nie beklei nie. And I say a possible biblical connection here, because look at this. Jesus het op 'n donkie gery. Jesus rode on a donkey, as was prophesied, apparently, when he rode into Jerusalem. And he specifically chose a donkey to ride on. Okay, he could have had a horse. I mean, he's Jesus. He could have had a horse. He could have had I don't know, someone carry him. I don't know. Jesus het ook 'n swaard wat uit sy mond steek tydens die wederkoms. So in Revelation we read that Jesus has a sword coming out of his mouth. So this forms also another nice dual image. Jesus as the humble preacher, but also Jesus as the executioner. And die dualiteit van die skepper en die mens. So it says something about the duality of the creator and the duality of man. Okay, we have different parts to us. So that could again maybe point to the other level of this poem. It might. I realize I'm reaching a bit here, right? Okay, so maybe just entertain me for a little while, because here, this is in Revelation where Jesus returns, and here he's coming back. He's he's a very angry Jesus when he comes back, right? Because he's killing people. Why else would he have a sword? And he's riding on a horse this time, okay? And he's got a sword, okay? So he's gonna murder all the bad people, okay? And then in Matthew, that's where he's riding on a donkey. Okay, so there are the biblical references, very clear. So I just thought, is it coincidence that it's a donkey, or what? Anyway, take it or leave it. Okay, it's not really. It's just more for intellectual kind of interest, I think. Listen, I'm just gonna delete the English quickly, if I can. Yeah. so that I can move this thing up. So that we have more space here. There we go. That's better. Okay. So, alright, so let's go to line 2. En die son trek sy wolke stywer om sy skouers. This is personification. It's the sun pulling. Okay, so if they ask that, that's easy. What does it mean? It means it's suddenly cooler. What is it? What's the function of it? Or what does it point forward to? Vooruitwysing, it builds tension, spanning. So vooruitwysing van die dood, so that it's getting colder and darker. That could be a prediction of the death that's about to happen of one of the fighters. So vooruitwysing na die dood van een van die vegters. Then they put there Vanda's coat because it's cold. That's alleenplasing. So that line looks very isolated and cold as it stands alone. So they call it alleenplasing or typografische isolasie. Either one of those. It beklemtoon, what's the function of it? Beklemtoon hoe alleen en kwesbaar en bang die vegter voel. So suddenly, I mean, if you're standing there with a sword and there's another man that's coming to kill you with a sword, I think you're going to feel pretty vulnerable and scared and alone. Okay, so it emphasizes those emotions that the fighter must be feeling. Does that make sense? Okay. Then he has black eyes, the other man, die man, the man. It's not a man, it's not a man. That would make it very universal, a man. Okay, any man. Yeah, it's die man specifically. He knows who this fighter is, trust me. He knows who it is. He has black eyes. Okay, so black eyes I did Google it, ChatGPT to get a little bit, and it is a symbol of danger, firstly, inner struggle and emotional depth. So that once again could point to that second deeper level, but not necessarily. It's just a symbol. Okay. And here, this other guy is sigtend, he's sighing. It means he's reluctant. Hy wil nie beklei nie. So what they could ask you, which word shows that he doesn't want to fight? Sigtend, he's sighing. He doesn't want to do this either. He doesn't want to die or get into a sword fight. Must be the most horrible experience ever. Okay. Then we get to this image of the versteende paling, the petrified or fossilized eel. I don't know. Look, this is Breyten Breitenbach, and he himself said somewhere, don't quote me, but he himself said that a lot of his imagery is just mental associative poetry. It's just whatever pops into his head, really. So don't read too much into it, but if we had to attach a meaning to it, I mean, that's why we're here. It could be like an eel. It has fast, smooth movements like a sword. Okay, so as someone who's skilled with the sword, looks like they have time, they wield the sword and it looks smooth. Okay, just like an eel. That's what I could think of. And then the eel is also a symbol of growth and adaptation. You're very adaptive. You can adapt or adjust to new circumstances. That's a good quality. That's a good quality for someone fighting with a sword, because you have to react, isn't it, and adapt to whatever is coming at you. Okay, I would take that. Then line 4 and 5, we have that enyambament, that flowing. So it's one sentence flowing into the next, one line flowing into the next, really. So that could just emphasize or indicate or dit wys die vloeiende beweging van die swaarde. Or, and this is typical Breitenbach, often an image can go two ways. The fact that he breaks up that sentence to make a new line could be show the fast chopping movements of the swords, or the flowing there once again as a contrast with the sharp chopping movements of the swords and the fighters. All right, so it's really how you word it and how you see it. Okay. Yeah, and then this was interesting. The other guy lifts up his sword like a petrified eel in the light, not in the air. You should lift your sword in the air. No, it's in the light, in the lig. So that light could symbolize insight, some kind of answer, some kind of resolution. Okay, light normally indicates insight, insig. Okay, so I think we can go with that there. And then the narrator's sword is a proof base. Okay, so a proof base, that's very strange. Proof base is a kind of an instrument that scientists would use in a laboratory. Okay, so it becomes a symbol of logic and of science, wetenskap, a symbol of rational thought, rationele denke. So that could say that this person has completely rational reasons for this fight. This is not an emotional outburst. This was not a spur of the moment decision. This fight was well justified, well thought out, well planned. Okay. And they say the sword also could look like a dragon's tongue. Okay. So the dragon obviously is a common image of the time of knights, Ridders, fighting with dragons. But it's also a symbol of bravery, dapperheid, and difficult inner conflict. And the tongue itself of the dragon is a symbol of alertness, wakkerheid, and clarity. So again, we get this feeling that this person is not acting out of emotion. They're acting out of reason. This fight is necessary. It has to happen. It's unavoidable. It's a conflict that has been coming a long way. Okay. Oh, and yeah, let's move on. Then they say the words on guard. So those are French words. That fits in with the times. Pas by die tyd van swaard gevegte. It fits in with that time. Be ready, on guard. Okay. And then we get this whole list of klanknabootsing. So just a few that I pulled out there. So kling, ching, king, and chi. If they say, what is that? Klank, watter klanke boots dit na? You could say harde klanke van swaarde, wat kap, swords clanging and hitting each other. That maybe that's the swinging noise of the sword, and a zip. Maybe that's swords scraping each other, or it could be the material being cut, of someone being stabbed. And then there's kak, okay, which means shit, okay. So that maybe, to me, that could, and they're not going to, oh, well, they asked this. I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay, beklemtoon die aaklige werklikheid van 'n swaardgeveg. Look, a sword fight is brutal. You're cutting a human up. So everything that's inside his body comes outside. You know what I mean? Okay, it's brutal. It's grotesque. Okay. It's grotesque in Afrikaans. No, say G-R-O-T-E-S-K. Now you can use it. Okay. And then there's the admission, touche. So touche is in fencing terminology. It's an erkenning. It's an admission that your opponent has stabbed you with the sword. However, in modern times, touche means if you have an argument, or if you have a conversation, not an argument, like a debate, if you're debating something, let's say politics or sport or whatever, and somebody else makes a good point that you didn't realize, and you concede that it's a good point. You say, oh, instead of saying, good point, I've never seen that point of view, I didn't know about that evidence, you just say, touche, touche. Okay, so that's what it means. So look, the narrator is going to lose this fight. Our person, the person writing this poem, or the person that his poem is about, loses this fight. So, and it leads to his death. Okay, so it could be, if it's now on that deeper level, that they are recognizing that they have been wrong and that they lost that fight, and that part of them is going to die. Okay, on a literal level, the narrator is saying, oh, touche, and then it ends up that he has a sword in his throat. Let's move this thing. There we go. Okay, that long ah. In fact, I'm just going to delete this quickly. Or not. Okay. That's also like almost onomatopoeia of the gurgling sound that you would make if there's a hole in your throat. Chorrel is your throat, another word for this pipe, your air pipe. Okay. Obviously, there's going to be blood running down your air pipe, and you're going to be trying to breathe. So it's going to make a horrible gurgling, death rattle gurgle thing. Okay. So that's terrible. And they put it in brackets. Now I would ask this is clever. They put it in brackets. Why is this in brackets? Because this person can't speak, okay? You can't speak if you have a sword in your throat, or a hole in your throat. Die vegter kan nie praat nie, omdat daar swaard in sy keel steek. Die alliterasie beklemtoon. Oh, there's in my. So it's nice alliteration. Imitating the sound of that death gurgle. Okay, rhyme schema. There's no rhyme scheme here. Okay, which if they ask you, is it functional? You say, yeah, it's functional because the rhyme scheme is chaotic. There is no rhyme scheme. Just like net soos 'n swaardgeveg is onvoorspelbaar. There's the word. Is chaoties, chaotic. And it's just like the inner struggles that we have. It's chaotic. We don't know what we are thinking. Okay, so there I put that note of die innerlike versus die uiterlike geveg, die letterlike en die figuurlike geveg, literal, figurative fight. Die digter teen die woord, I don't know, I'm not really convinced about that. And the theme here is the duality of man. Okay, that we all have inner struggles. Sometimes we have to fight. Even if we don't like conflict, we have to fight, and that it can sometimes lead to our literal or figurative death. Okay, so those are the things that I got out. I think there will be more. Okay, I would have missed a few, I think, because I went into this quite raw and just trying to be really like authentic about it. That's what I got out. Maybe if you're watching this first, it'll be wonderful now to listen to it in class, because you can add to that. Or if you've listened to it in class and now you see this, you might get more out of it now. But you definitely, excuse me, you definitely have to just compare this with your teacher's notes, and then do the questions. If you have a book that you do questions out of, do it. Okay, do it. Don't be lazy. This is a new one. I would bank on them asking this thing, because it's certainly something different. It's something fresh. It's very bizarre. Okay, but anyway, I hope that helped. That's about half an hour. Okay, that's enough of my voice. I'm sick of my own voice. Please share this video. Please help me promote my Takealot link, so that I can just make a living and feed Mila and Quinn and the cat. Cat food is expensive. All right, hope that helped, and I hope you have it's going into the Easter weekend here, so I hope you are safe and you're warm, and that you have somewhere warm to be and somewhere safe to be, and we'll chat soon.